Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. And before I start this video, guys, thank you so much for helping me reach 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I just sincerely wanted to thank you before diving into this analysis today. Now, of course, in recent videos, I was quite bearish. And even yesterday, I showed you guys this descending trend line. So we came up to this trend line one last time before getting a massive dump to the downside on this 4-hour time frame. So it is fair to say that we have lost this 56K level at this point. And as I warned about in yesterday's video as well, losing this 56K level would indicate that likely we are seeing much more bearish price action after that. And of course, so far we just have seen a straight drop down to this next level of support, which is sitting at about 53.9K. Roughly speaking, it is just this previous low on the daily time frame. However, I do think this is just a short-term level of support. So more likely we are going to fall into this big level of support, sitting from 53,000 all the way down to 50,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. So if we now get a bounce from this level or from this next level of support, well, in the short term, we have to see if this is going to be turned into a level of resistance, which would be in the case that we get a rejection back down from this level once again, or if we can flip it back into support by trading back inside this range. So the key level to watch out to the upside is currently 58,000 all the way down to 56,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. And if we take a look at the Fibonacci levels for Bitcoin on this 4-hour time frame as well, you can see that right here we had one last move up to this 57K level that I talked about in yesterday's video as well. And I told you guys to look out for either a candle close above 57K, or if we actually end up getting rejected from it once again. And obviously we got rejected from it once again. So because of that, we saw a quick move to the downside to this exact 0.236 Fibonacci level, sitting at 53.9K. So obviously we had this bullish divergence in the charts here as well, but this can now just be crossed off because it is invalidated. As you can see, we traded below this trend line, and we traded below this trend line as well. So therefore, this bullish divergence is no longer active. Now on this 4-hour time frame, so long as we don't trade below this previous low on the RSI momentum indicator, technically we can still be making a bullish divergence somewhere in this range here. However, at the same time, you also have to consider more than just that one bullish signal, because as I have been saying in my recent videos quite a lot, the higher time frame is obviously in a downtrend. You can see that here on the 1 week time frame as well. The RSI momentum indicator on the 1 week time frame is just in a very strong downtrend. And yes, so long as we do not break out of here, then we are going to continue to make lower lows and lower highs in the RSI. And the lower we go below this 50 level, the more bearish the price action is going to become. Because at 50 on the RSI, we are basically seeing neutral price action and neutral momentum in the market. However, anything below 50 is bearish momentum in the market. So therefore now we are getting in a range where if we continue to not break this trend line, we're going to see more and more bearish price action for Bitcoin. And if you're looking for a potential reversal signal, you can also use this RSI, because let's say that you break out above this trend line. This will be that first kind of indicator for me personally to look for a potential reversal in all of this bearish price action here. Now, besides that, on this 1 week time frame, the MACD indicator is also still flashing bearish momentum. And on the 1 day time frame, we are also still seeing bearish momentum, as I have been talking about ever since we flipped into bearish territory here. Although in the beginning, we were just basically seeing neutral momentum in the market. However, now we are starting to see an acceleration in the bearish momentum here in the short term. So this is another indicator to basically pay attention to on this 1 day time frame here. One thing that is interesting to me is that we hit the bottom of this first kind of range that I used on the channel here, which is the range between these two pink lines. However, since then, I have adjusted my descending channel a little bit because we got these wicks very far below. So therefore, I wanted to adjust it for the wicks as well. Now, what do I think is going to happen next here? Well, for me personally, to continue to have some kind of longer term bullish outlook, I really need to see Bitcoin hold this as a level of support, or anything above that, of course, but 51K as of the time of recording is basically the key level to hold for me personally, because if we lose 50K, 51K, roughly speaking, then to me personally, it seems less likely that we are going to grab this liquidity to the upside, and more likely that we are going to get more bearish price action first. So this is just my base case. And of course, you can think of it very differently. But my most recent buy was at 53K at the bottom of the range here. And if we actually end up breaking down below here on the weekly time frame, I'm okay taking a small loss on this trade because I made a lot of money trading this range here for Bitcoin. Either way, moving on to the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. First of all, on this 1 month time frame, as you can see right here, we just grabbed another big pocket of liquidity for Bitcoin, taking out another $800 million worth of long positions here. So the bulls are getting completely wrecked on this move to the downside. Everyone is longing into this downtrend and getting liquidated. Now, besides that, if I actually zoom out all the way to the 1 year Bitcoin liquidation heat map, you can see that we have now grabbed this liquidity here. And the next big pocket of liquidity would already be at 49,000 US dollars. So that's why I'm saying, like, hey, if we lose this as a level of support, this descending channel at about, let's say 51K, 50K, roughly speaking, then to me personally, it seems like it is more likely that we're going to grab more liquidity to the downside. For example, something here at 40K, there's even more liquidity at 32K. By the way, this is not me calling for 32K Bitcoin. Let me be very specific there, because it is way too early to start talking about that, because we haven't even lost this as a level of support. So do not freak out. I'm simply telling you where there are pockets of liquidity. Okay. To me, it seems like we have just grabbed a bunch of downside liquidity. And if we now hold the descending channel as a level of support, well, in that case, we have this big level of liquidity to the upside here that is just looking very juicy for Bitcoin. So for now, we can just take a look at the chart here, see if this actually holds. Besides that, we also have that short-term level of support right here, that 0.236 Fibonacci level. Now, if these do not hold, then the last kind of line of defense, as far as I'm concerned, is actually this big level of support right here. In the case we lose 50K, like actually confirmed candle closes and things like that, then yeah, honestly, it's just looking very bad for Bitcoin, and we will likely see much lower price action for Bitcoin after that. But as I said, for now, it is a little bit early to actually start calling for much lower price action until we actually lose that 50K level as a level of support. And as I said, for now, I think that is a little bit early. It would be extremely shocking to me if we actually just fall straight through this, even though, yes, of course, the momentum is bearish on the 1 day time frame, and there are bearish indicators on the 1 week time frame flashing, as I showed you earlier in this video, but also many other times in recent videos. But even considering all of that, I think it would be very wild to actually see Bitcoin cutting straight through this. I think at the very least, we would see some choppy price action in this range here before actually losing it as a level of support. So as I said, it is just very early to be calling for 30K, 40K, whatever, until we actually lose 50K as a level of support. And let me be very clear, guys, we have seen many scary moments in the market here in recent times. For example, this one, especially this big wick below it, a lot of people panic sold their Bitcoin here. A lot of people were saying that the bull market was over in this exact wick below the descending channel here. And even people were saying it right here that the bull market was over when we wicked below the pink trend line here. So I have now seen people say the same things many times just in the last couple months here. And funnily enough, they are never saying the bull market is over and that the top is in when we were actually at tops. It was always when we were at these bottoms here. So personally, I'm not panicking in a situation like this. We've kind of been here a couple of times already, and yeah, it's just the same thing all over again. Now, if we actually lose this as a level of support, it's a different story. Then we need to look for lower price action after that. But until then, I think just panic selling everything here doesn't make sense. Like for me personally, panic selling everything here does not make sense. Even though, yes, I would be in a slight profit on this trade here, I would rather actually take a small loss on that trade, but having actual confirmation that we broke below the descending channel. Because again, as I said, you've seen many wicks below it. And currently we are not even below the descending channel. So therefore it is just very early to flip extremely bearish for Bitcoin. Although yes, of course, in the short term here, as I said many times, we just have more bearish momentum than bullish momentum right now. Lastly, taking a look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables for today. Yesterday, we saw another net outflow of $200 million from these Bitcoin ETFs. So still, the Bitcoin ETF investors are trying as fast as possible to get the hell out of Bitcoin here. And so long as these net outflows continue every single weekday here, then obviously this is going to have a downwards pressuring effect on the Bitcoin price. But at the same time, we are now at the end of the week here. So tomorrow we cannot get another massive outflow from the Bitcoin ETFs. We are actually getting into a weekend. So hopefully we see a little bit lower volatility, lower volume in the market, and we get a bit of time to actually reassess and reevaluate the situation here. Either way, this has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.